She survived a 3.5-hour marathon. She defeated an Olympic gold medalist. And now, Alex Eala has done what no Filipino tennis player has ever done. She's reached the quarterfinals of a WTA 1000 event in Toronto. The 12th seed had no answers for the Filipinas' relentless attack, as Eala extended her winning streak to 8 matches and sent the Toronto crowd into absolute chaos. Belinda Bencic, the Tokyo Olympic gold medalist and former world number 4, had pushed Taylor Townsend to the brink in a 3-hour, 26-minute war just to reach this matchup. But against the 21-year-old from Quezon City, she found herself completely overwhelmed. Eala's precision, movement, and mental fortitude proved too much for the Swiss veteran. Is Alex Eala now the most dangerous player in the WTA 1000 draw? The lights blazed down on center court at Sobeys Stadium. More than 10,000 fans packed the stands, Philippine flags waving from every section. And when the final point was played, the roar that followed was deafening. Alex Eala had just done what no Filipino tennis player had ever done. She had reached the quarterfinals of a WTA 1000 event. The 21-year-old from Quezon City dismantled Tokyo Olympic gold medalist Belinda Bencic in a masterclass performance that sent shockwaves through the tennis world. The Swiss star, a former world no. 4 and the tournament's 12th seed had no answers for Eala's relentless attack, precision, and mental fortitude. The victory extended Eala's winning streak to an incredible 8 matches, a run that began with her historic DC Open title triumph just days earlier. The match was a study in controlled aggression. From the very first point, Eala dictated the pace. Her movement was crisp, her ground strokes precise, her decision-making flawless. Bencic, who had been battle-weary from her 3-hour, 26-minute war against Taylor Townsend in the previous round, looked a step slower. But it wasn't just fatigue that undid her. Eala's game was simply too much. The Filipina broke the Olympic champion's serve repeatedly, neutralized her variety, and never allowed her to settle into any rhythm. "I think I survived that one," Eala had said after her third-round victory over Catty McNally, a match that tested her resilience after she rolled her ankle in the second set. But against Bencic, there was no survival. There was only domination. The significance of this victory cannot be overstated. This was Eala's first ever WTA 1000 quarterfinal, a milestone that places her among the elite players on the tour. Her record against top 10 opponents now stands at a stunning 9-4. A statistic that puts her alongside legends like Steffi Graf, Martina Navratilova, and Monica Seles in the history books. And she's achieving all of this at just 21 years old. The Toronto crowd erupted as the final point was played. Filipino fans who had packed the stadium, many attending their first ever tennis tournament, celebrated as if the Philippines had won a gold medal. The chants of "Eala, Eala" echoed across center court. And the 21-year-old sensation, the girl with ruffled socks and light-up shoes who started on a basketball court in Quezon City, stood at the center of it all, a champion in the making. What would you do if you had just reached your first WTA 1000 quarterfinal? For Alex Eala, the answer was simple. She would keep fighting, keep believing, and keep proving that the girl with ruffled socks and light-up shoes was destined for greatness. Because when you're 21 years old and you've just conquered an Olympic gold medalist, the world is only just beginning to see what you're capable of. The Canadian Open had already tested Belinda Bencic's resolve. But by the time she reached Eala, the 29-year-old Swiss star had nothing left to give. And it all started with a 3-hour, 26-minute war that nearly ended her tournament. Bencic, the Tokyo Olympic gold medalist and world no. 14, had survived a gut-wrenching battle against American Taylor Townsend in the third round. The match lasted 3 hours and 24 minutes, with Bencic narrowly escaping a stunning upset after fending off 2 break points while serving at 5-5 in the second set. The final score reads 6-7-5, 7-4, 6-4, a victory that came at a steep physical cost. But it wasn't just the exhaustion that told the story. It was the emotion. During the marathon clash, Bencic's frustration boiled over. Television cameras caught her lashing out at her coaching team, including her husband and fitness coach Martin Hromkovich, in an animated outburst during a changeover. "Can you man up and be loud?" Yes, she said. "Shut up." The tension in her camp was palpable as Townsend pushed the 12th seed to her absolute limit. The toll of the match was evident when Bencic stepped onto the court against Eala. The Swiss star, who had been dominating opponents earlier in the tournament with a 6-3, 6-1 win over Sloane Stephens, looked a step slower against the 21-year-old Filipina. Her movement was compromised, her decision-making was hesitant, and Eala, the relentless machine who had already won 7 consecutive matches, pounced on every opportunity. For Eala, the timing couldn't have been better. Her own path to the 4th round had been a test of resilience, a 3-set battle against Caty McNally that saw her roll her right ankle in the 2nd set. But she had recovered, she had regrouped. And now, she was facing an opponent who had been pushed to the brink just 24 hours earlier. The contrast between the two players was stark. Bencic had survived a war, Eala had won a battle. And when they met on center court, it was the Filipina who looked fresh, focused, and ready to make history. What would you do if you had just survived a 3.5-hour marathon only to face the hottest player on tour? For Belinda Bencic, the answer was clear. She would give it everything she had left. But against a player like Alex Eala, sometimes everything isn't enough. Because when you're facing a 21-year-old who has already won 8 consecutive matches and conquered an Olympic gold medalist, the nightmare isn't over. It's just beginning. The Canadian Open has been a WTA event for years, a fixture on the tennis calendar. But this year, the tournament is unlike anything anyone has ever seen. And it's all because of one 21-year-old from Quezon City. Eala Mania has officially transformed Toronto from the moment she stepped onto center court. Philippine flags hung. The victory over Bencic wasn't just another win. It was the latest chapter in a streak that has transformed Alex Eala from a promising talent into one of the most dangerous players on the WTA Tour. And the numbers are staggering. 8 consecutive wins, 2 tournaments, 1 historic title run in Washington, and now a quarterfinal berth in Toronto. The 21-year-old from Quezon City has been on a tear that has left the tennis world struggling to keep up. She has defeated an Olympic gold medalist, a defending champion, a 4-time Grand Slam winner, the world number 3, and now another Olympic gold medalist, all in the span of 2 weeks. The streak began in Washington, where Eala captured her first ever WTA title. That run alone would have been enough to announce her arrival. She defeated Olympic gold medalist Jung Chinwen in the first round, avenging a heartbreaking loss at the 2023 Asian Games. She dethroned defending champion Leylah Fernandez in a match that tested her mental fortitude. She dismantled world number 10 Elina Svitolina in straight sets. She stunned 4-time Grand Slam winner Naomi Osaka, and she conquered world number 3 Jessica Pegula in a rain-soaked final that stretched across 2 days. But Eala didn't stop in Washington. She arrived in Toronto with barely 24 hours to recover and immediately faced the woman who had broken her heart at the Australian Open, Alicia Parks. The American had beaten her in Melbourne, coming back from a 6-0 first-set defeat to win 6-3, 6-2. But this time, Eala was a different player. She won 6-1, 4-6, 6-2 in a gritty 3-set battle, extending her winning streak to 6 matches. The streak grew to 7 with a dramatic victory over Caty McNally. That match had everything: a slow start, a momentum shift, an injury scare. Eala rolled her left ankle in the second set, had it taped, and still found a way to win 6-3, 5-7, 6-4 in 2 hours and 39 minutes. "I think I survived that one," she said afterward. And now, with the victory over Bencic, the streak has reached 8. Each match has presented a different challenge, a different opponent, a different set of obstacles. And Eala has overcome them all. Her record against top 10 opponents now stands at 9-4, a statistic that places her alongside legends like Steffi Graf, Martina Navratilova, and Monica Seles in the history books. The quarterfinal beckons, and the streak shows no signs of stopping. The railings and Filipino families filled the stands, all 10,077 seats of them. The chants of, "Let's go, Alex," echoed so loudly that the chair umpire repeatedly begged for silence during points. But the most surprising transformation wasn't just the crowd. It was the food. The changeover kitchen food stall replaced its chicken teriyaki rice bowl with chicken adobo, a classic Filipino dish. As a tribute to Eala and her supporters, tournament director Carl Hale confirmed it was something unprecedented. "It's the first time I've ever heard of a tournament halfway through the tournament add a food offering just because of a player," he said. But it wasn't just about the adobo. Eala herself played a starring role after her match against Alicia Parks. She grabbed the microphone and addressed the crowd in Tagalog. "Kamusta tayong ngayon, Toronto? Iwagaywe niyo ngayong mga bandila niyo at patingin." The crowd erupted. Hundreds of Philippine flags waved as a response. "There are so many Filipinos in the crowd tonight, so many flags. Thank you," she added. One Filipino from Toronto even designed custom white t-shirts for his friends reading Rise, Believe, Inspire alongside Eala's name. For Eala, the support was deeply personal. She told the crowd in Filipino, "I see you guys every week supporting me. I also see it every week how you love your fellow Filipinos. That's why I'm so incredibly proud to be a Filipino. Thank you, my fellow Filipinos. I love you all." What happened in Toronto wasn't just about tennis. It was about community. It was about a nation showing up for one of its own. And it was about a young athlete who knew exactly what it meant to carry that love with her on the court. That connection, that celebration, is something no tournament director could have planned for, and no one can forget. The 10,000-plus fans packing Sobeys Stadium weren't just watching a tennis match. They were witnessing a homecoming. And the roar after Eala's victory over Belinda Bencic was unlike anything Toronto had ever heard. The scene at center court had become a regular occurrence for anyone following the Filipina sensation, but for the tennis world, it was astonishing. More than 10,000 fans packed the stadium, many of whom had never been to a tennis match before, waving Philippine flags and chanting Eala's name until their voices gave out. The atmosphere was so electric that one fan told CBC it felt like they were in Manila, not Toronto. The Filipino community had turned the Canadian Open into a celebration of identity. Philippine flags hung from railings in boxes and the upper deck. Fans wore t-shirts reading "Fight, Believe, Represent." Others held signs with a Philippine flag and the words, "Past my bedtime, but cheering for you, Alex." Danilo Baluyo, executive director of Toronto's Taste of Manila Festival, captured what the moment meant to the community. "She's being branded as the next Manny Pacquiao," Baluyo said. "Because she's young and she has a lot of attention. She has this charm to the community. We follow and we support." Moving forward with this National Bank Open tournament, every time she wins, all these people will follow. The pride extends beyond the stadium walls. Rosemary Ami Seaborn, a Filipino community leader, told reporters that what makes Eala so beloved is her refusal to forget her roots. She will correct your question and say, "I think what you should ask me is if I'm proud of being Filipino and being here." She has embraced it. I think she's really proud of what's happening. Eala, for her part, has understood exactly what the support means. After her victory over Alicia Parks, she grabbed the microphone and addressed the crowd in Tagalog. "Kamusta tayong ngayon, Toronto? Iwagaywe niyo ngayong mga bandila niyo at patingin." The crowd erupted. She followed it with words that struck at the heart of every Filipino watching. "Linggo ko kayo nakikita, sinusuportahan ako. Kaya proud na proud ako maging Pinoy. Maraming salamat, mga kababayan. Mahal ko kayong lahat." The embrace of the Filipino community has turned every Eala match into something far bigger than tennis. When Dian Castillejo, a traveling Filipino journalist and former tennis player, arrived at Sobeys Stadium to cover Eala's matches, she found herself surrounded by a community that had turned the tournament into a gathering. "The loudest I have ever heard. It felt like it was in the Philippines." "Incredible," she said. "The numbers back up the phenomenon. The Greater Toronto Area is home to over 270,000 individuals of Filipino descent, according to the 2021 Canadian Census. They have turned out in force for Eala, buying out tickets in 30 minutes, packing the 10,077-seat center court, and creating an atmosphere that longtime Canadian tennis watchers compared to the most electric moments in tournament history. It's the kind of noise that accompanies a Grand Slam win, and this is just the second round here in Toronto. Play-by-play man Mark Petchey said on the WTA Tour World Television feed after Eala's win, "What would you do if a stadium full of people showed up just because they believed in you?" For Alex Eala, the answer was simple. She would give them everything she had. She would speak to them in their own language, and she would remind them that their love was the reason she kept fighting. "Thank you to everyone who is supporting tennis and creating atmospheres like this," she said. "It's really the pleasure of my life to experience these things." 8 consecutive wins, 2 tournaments, 1 historic run, and now Alex Eala stands on the brink of something even greater, a WTA 1000 semifinal. The victory over Belinda Bencic wasn't just another win. It was a statement. The 21-year-old from Quezon City had just reached her first ever WTA 1000 quarterfinal, a milestone that places her among the elite players on tour. But the journey doesn't stop here. Standing between Eala and a place in the semifinals is an opponent who has been watching her rise with growing admiration, Coco Gauff. The rivalry between Eala and Gauff has been building for months. Their history stretches back to the 2026 Dubai Tennis Championships, where Gauff ended Eala's quarterfinal run with a 6-0, 6-2 victory. But that match was a different Eala, a different player. Before her Washington title, before the 8-match winning streak, before she became a top 20 player. Since that defeat, Eala has transformed her game in ways that even Gauff has acknowledged. The American has been watching Eala's rise closely. Gauff has spoken openly about her admiration for the Filipino sensation, calling her a star and inspiration. But on the court, there will be no friendship, no admiration. Just 2 of the most exciting young players on tour competing for a place in the WTA 1000 semifinals. The stakes couldn't be higher. A victory would push Eala past the $1 million mark in career earnings for the year. It would add another 215 ranking points to her tally, moving her closer to the top 15. And it would cement her status as one of the most dangerous players on the WTA Tour. But for Eala, the numbers have never been the point. "I'm just here to play my tennis and enjoy the moment," she has said throughout her run in Toronto. The rankings will take care of themselves. The quarterfinal beckons. And the tennis world is watching. What would you do if you were just 2 wins away from a WTA 1000 final? For Alex Eala, the answer was simple. She would keep fighting, keep believing, and keep proving that the girl with ruffled socks and light-up shoes was destined for greatness. Because when you're 21 years old and you've already conquered Olympic gold medalists, Grand Slam champions, and the world know, 3, the only thing left to do is keep going.